Hello, and welcome to the Creative Partners Spotlight presented by Mota. My name is Eric Kohler,
I'm Shauna Bryan.
and we're here with Dave Zeevalk from Mosaic, one of the illustrious partners of Mota. Dave, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about Mosaic?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Dave Zeevalk. I'm the founder and CEO of Mosaic Studios. I've been in the industry for about 20 years. Started my career in Los Angeles in the last 12 years or so, East Coast, New York. Um, Mosaic Studios, we're a small boutique VFX shop, cloud-based, completely cloud native. We started about a year ago, off the back of another organization that we were part of that did not survive the strikes, and we decided to quickly pivot and start our own shop. So my business partner Luis Garrido and I picked up with our 15 of our best employees and rebuilt our pipeline pretty quickly to help continue to service the clients that we were working with at the time.
I've known you for a few years, Dave, and that's one of the things that's so interesting is how like tech forward you guys are and how you guys are really building the backbone of what Mosaic is to off the back of that to be able to offer efficiency and be able to offer a bit of a different process for clients, and I think it's quite incredible.
Yeah.
How would you feel that tech forward kind of mindset is playing into production right now? What are some cool projects you guys have worked on that you've seen real value in that?
Yeah. So I think the big thing is for us is the industry. We know margins are slim, and the industry's been moving, further and further away from being able to sustain like really large, rigid infrastructure. And we've seen that over the years at various different facilities that we've worked at, and just what's happening in the market. And so for us, it was never about trying to build like a big ship. We wanted to build a ship that we could stretch out and then crush back down when we need to in a very healthy and responsible way. And with that, it's as much as we focus on the creative and our creative output, we know that behind that has to be like very strong tech that will allow for rapid expansion and contraction, and at a reasonable cost so that we can sustain financially sustain the margins in the market. So we've put just a really large emphasis, and I will say I'm very lucky to have a partner he is a tech guy, right? So it's like we don't all have that luxury in our industry of having someone that's like a true software developer. He brings so much to the table, and like our ability to like really do what we're doing right now. So we've done several projects in our first year of business. Probably two that I'm proud of, really all of them for very different reasons. There's two that we just finished up they're both airing right now. One of them is The Beauty, season 1, and American Love Story, which just started airing. I think the thing with those projects that I'm most proud of, we did some great creative work on it. I think the big thing was proving not only proving that we are really good at what we do, but proving like our ability to stand up really, really quick.
Yeah.
Because we were 6 months into business by the time we got these projects. We wrapped them up. I think across the two projects we did 1,700 shots.
Yeah,
we did a high volume of shots.
Time frame you guys did that?
I think we were really deep in it by August, so about 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys do like a huge amount of volume for the size that you are. And a couple of stats that I always thought were really interesting, because I don't know you as long as Eric has, but what really impressed me right at the beginning was that you guys can onboard 20 people in a day.
Easy.
When you you guys pivot super, super fast.
Yeah, that is very big part of our design.
And that's super important for the state of the industry right now, with everybody kind of moving and shifting and evolving to technology, and with the drawback in budgets and the types of projects that are being made, right? Finding efficiencies isn't always just going to be in like, hey, how do we create images with AI? It's actually how does the production process continue to propel itself in ways that are more efficient, that at the end of the day offers time savings, which is always money savings, but then more time to focus on the creative output and less time to worry about the nuts and bolts of what's going on, right? So I think you guys are positioned well in that sense, because you kind of found yourselves at the time in the industry where technology was shifting, and you were able to kind of reset and build up from there, right? Which I think a lot of the more legacy studios are having a harder trouble kind of
adapting to.
Yeah, because you guys have started from the ground up, so you're like less manual tracking and just more actual productivity.
Yeah,
So,
which is cool.
yeah.
We've built the backbone of our tech. We've been building for probably like 6 or 7 years now, evolving often like 2 or 3 times a year. We'll like completely rewrite it and re-roll it out. Yeah, coming into Mosaic, like we did like a full rebuild of all of it, but we've always built it so nimble that we can plug in new tools all over the place. Like we're not rigid. Like we can plug into different pipelines so easily. Our pipeline is just this like very malleable thing, guardrails all over the place. But it's super malleable to be able to let in, even for artists, like we're onboarding a lot of people. Like we can't bring people into this structure that's going to require 3 weeks of ramp up and training.
Right.
Like we need to give them a platform that's familiar to them, that they feel comfortable, but still flows everything back into the way that we organize and output.
Yeah, you can change your pipeline for the project as well, right? And quicker, right?
Yeah.
If there is a need that helps drive that creative output and to be able to kind of solve an efficient on that, which is great.
One good example of that is a couple of years back, we worked on Ripley. And the challenge with that for the client was they were working with another larger vendor that they were struggling with. I think they were struggling with location issues with the director and the facility, but I think it was also like a collaboration issue. And so we were approached to help them solve that. And so they really needed like a studio that could flex up to kind of an unknown quantity of work, but not be, forcing them to spend. We couldn't step in and be like, yeah, you have to spend at least $1 million or at least $2 million with us right now for us to do this. They couldn't make that commit. So we had to be very, very flexible, but we also had to have someone available to sit with the director every day. So, we deployed 2 supervisors that sat at company 3 with the director for 9 months on that project. And then we had 15, 18 artists working in the cloud. Those supervisors were setting looks directly with Steve Zalian, and then deploying all that work back to the team that was taking that, rolling it out to 150 shots for this sequence and 50 shots for that sequence. And by the time we finished that show, we ended up doing a little over 1,000 shots. And it was like, we were not going into it for that reason. It's what the show needed. They needed creative partner to sit with the director, and then they ultimately needed someone that could roll out a high volume. So we kind of built and like grew into that. And when we stepped into the whole thing, we didn't know we were going to have people sitting at company 3 for months and months. It was just, this is what we have to do. We have the ability to do that very easily. So that's what we'll do.
Yeah. I mean, being kind of boutique that way and nimble feels like a very filmmaker forward kind of approach, right? I believe, right? It's being able to create an experience and an environment for the filmmakers. That is where they're at, right? Which is great. I'd love to talk about Ripley a little bit. I mean, obviously, great show. You guys won an Emmy for the work on that show, which was fantastic. You said you did about 1,000 shots. From a creative standpoint, was primarily the type of work, the scope of work that you guys did on that?
I mean, majority set extension work. Mostly like 2.5D. Set extension work.
Was there anything in particular that you guys are super proud of, or that had a very specific creative focus required?
Oh man, you're asking the wrong person. You're asking the wrong person, because for me, I'm often proud of the things that aren't like the creative output, because, and the only reason I say that is like, to be honest, like we're not better than every other. All of us do really good, high quality work. Like a lot of studios can do good, high quality work. So it's like, what else did we bring to the table? Like, what did we do for Steve Zalian? Like, what did we do to support his vision? And like, not just creatively, but like, how do we make that process smooth for him and make him feel like he had, a creative partner to sit down and talk through and riff with and work through problems with? What did we do for the producer on the other side? Like, did we make scheduling and budgeting easier for them? That's really important to me, as important as the creative output.
Importance in what that handshake looks like, right?
And
in a relationship.
Ultimately, they're not just coming to us, just pushing out good creative work. Like, they also have post teams that like have budgets and schedules and responsibilities to the studio. And like, if we're not facilitating like that for them and making them look good and successful in their roles, then to me, we failed, even if we made a pretty
even if
picture.
you did great work. Yeah. No, that's interesting though, because a lot of people don't have that kind of focus. I mean, they say they have it or they do have it, but it's not as forward as what you're talking about. And it's the experience. It's how can we be of customer service? Obviously, you have to have great work or else they're not going to come back to you.
Exactly.
But those are the things that they remember.
That's why we say, when we talk about like boutique, for us, it's not about a size thing. It's like a mentality, and almost like, not to be corny, but it is like, how do we give them like white glove kind of service? Like, where they know that we are here. You don't have to go through layers to get a problem solved. On these 2 shows that we just finished, we're really trying to build a relationship with these studios and become a kind of a more prominent player for them to really push a lot more work to. And so for me, it was really important. It's like their supervisors shouldn't have to, if they're having a budget problem or a schedule problem or anything like that, they need to talk to our producers and they need to talk to the supervisor on the show. But if they just need to bang heads and like come up with ideas and like strategize, they can call me, and they do. I will get phone calls from the studio. I will get phone calls from the producer, the supervisor, and they'll call me and we'll just talk through like, what do we need to do? Where do we need to pivot in order to make the budget work for you guys, or whatever it might be. And I want that to always be the case. Yeah. I don't want it to be.
You don't want to play the game of telephone and hear about it like 3 people later.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's one of the things that sets you apart.
Yes.
Like there's so many companies out there, and it is all about the experience. And we had that as one of our things, was that any creative partner that we brought in, they had to be problem solvers themselves. Mm-hmm. They had to be customer service based. Obviously, they had to do incredible work, or else what's the point? But it's about just being able to get things going really quickly and efficiently, and just getting to the meat of it, which is how do we get the creative on the screen?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we, one thing I didn't touch on, but I probably should, is, even I feel like, data IO and like kind of the underlying like workflow, like back and forth, I think is like often overlooked. It's just like this thing that happens in the background, but like, we put a lot of emphasis on that. I mean, we have somebody that's got like a very deep background in color science and, just general like post-production workflow, not VFX, post-production workflow. And it's by design. We want that person to be there to be an expert for us to provide service to the post team. So we will get phone calls on like color science stuff that like they haven't figured out at like post shops.
One of the reasons,
we'll put our guy on the phone and like work through it.
Yeah,
exactly.
One of the reasons why I'm smiling about it is because at one of the facilities in my past, who I love, and we had a great experience, but quick times were like the bane of our existence. Constantly hearing from editorial like color space and quick times. You're like, oh my God, how can we die on a quick time hill?
Yep. So. And we get phone calls like that all the time from clients.
So,
like to be able to have an expert that we can sit down that can not only like talk through the problem, but he will sit down and resolve, and he'll build the solution and he'll hand it off to you. Mm-hmm. And it may not even be for work that we're doing, and we don't care. That's okay.
No,
totally okay.
It's all about making life easy.
Yep, that's it. So, we're in a creative field, but it's a relationship field. That all fields are. But like, we want to make sure that is like the emphasis for us. Like, we're really focused on the relationship and not just the creative output. And that means that like we have to be support and,
you have to understand upstream and downstream and how what's going to impact their lives positively or negatively based on what you are doing and what you're handing off and what you're receiving. But we should talk about the creative side of it, though, because I mean, all of that is really super important, and it's the infrastructure and it's what sets you apart. Mm-hmm. But in terms of creativity, like, where do you guys, this is just a creative mindset, but I always like the fact that even on your website, you guys have these, everybody always has this, like, here's a question of, here's our supervisors, here's our team, and here's a little bit about them. You guys took all the answers to that and then put it into like a AI thing and spit out an avatar, and that's what's on your website. So I just thought this kind of like a cheeky shows you're fun to work with and your creative side of things. But in terms of what goes on the screen, like, talk a little bit about your creative strengths.
Yeah. One of the VFX supervisors that was with us since the beginning is like really close friend of mine. He and I worked together for a long time. He comes more out of like the advertising. He is really good at sitting down with a client and like getting to the essence of what you're trying to get and like what message you're trying to tell. And in a way, not like a lot of other supervisors I've worked with before. Like, he really will like dig deep and understand what it is you're trying to tell, and then build up all the nuance around that and know how to kind of translate that out to the team. He sits down and actually will get shot work done if he needs to, because he is really passionate about like understanding what it takes, but he's just so good at like connecting.
You always want to be the favorite call of the day. Right? It's like, oh, great. Who are we talking to now? Oh, great. It's Mosaic. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it'll be easy.
It'll be fun. They get it,
Yeah, exactly. But in terms of our creative output, a lot, I will say, like, I do feel like a lot of it stems from my background. I came up as a CG supervisor and moved into VFX supervision. So we're small. We have a very large, robust CG pipeline. I'm a generalist, and I my whole career, I've really felt that like that is always going to be the direction that, you know, a small to mid-sized shop like has to focus on.
Yeah.
And we're now moving into a time with AI where that's actually even more
Yeah,
important.
do you
It's
find
like,
yourself kind of building the teams with more generalists
Oh,
as time's gone on? Yeah.
We bring in specialists as we need to, no problem, and there is a place for them. But I mean, for us, it's like really important that we have people that they don't have to know how to do everything, but what are the 3 or 4 skill sets that you're pretty strong in, and then what's the one that you're really good at? And that way, as we scale the team up and we have to start forming more specialty groups, then we know kind of who's going to stand up at like the center of each one of those departments. You know, an example, like we do a decent amount of effects work for our size. I still step in. Like that's a place where like I'll prop up and I'll step into a project and be like, all right, I'm going to set some stuff up for you guys. Like, let's get a look and set it up for you guys. And then we'll hand it off to the team to kick out. But I think a lot of the work that we've been doing stems from my background in CG. And like, I'm proud to say that I do think we've gotten opportunities that most companies of our age and size don't usually get. You know, getting in a little bit more complicated CG work. And it's only because some of these clients I worked with for a long time, they trust me. They know that I'll deliver. Yeah. So we do a lot of CG work, set extensions, but we're a big Houdini pipeline. We love doing like complex, like procedural setups. We're kind of nerds with it. And we do we geek out over it. We love it. So, you know, if we can get on any kind of project, we have to roll out like a high volume of a thing, whether it's buildings. You know, I've done stuff like flyovers of Afghanistan. We need to populate endless, you know, buildings and vehicles and light. We love doing anything like expansive like that. That's a little harder to come by at our size, getting like the big world stuff, but we're going to get there. We're only a year in.
Well, you guys can do it. It's just a question of whether or not it's coming your way, which is one of the reasons why we're trying to amplify all of this.
Yeah, exactly. So we really do. We love doing CG work, but we really do, and this might sound like a cheap answer. We want to be an end-to-end solution for clients. Like we know where our line is. I say to clients all the time, like if you're looking to make the next Transformers movie, like we're not your guy. Like we're not going to do the 2000 robot shots. Like we're just not. That's not what we're made for. There's facilities that are like very designed for that, and you should use them. We want to be able to do all the other stuff in between that like you kind of need. You may want to have a facility that can handle a large volume of all the other stuff for continuity or for cost structure. Like we want to be that solution. So like we're a New York company. Shows that come in New York, even now, like New York really like our big like kind of takeoff moment was like around 2010, right? Like a lot of work started flowing there. The incentives started picking up, and clients weren't coming there for your Transformers movie. Like they're coming there for more of like the mid-tier shows that like, you know, grow into 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 shots, but it's like
which is definitely not nothing. Yeah.
It's all over the map.
It's a mixed bag of type of work.
Yeah. And so we do want to really be able to be like an offering for all of that. And again, I'll go back to some of these shows that we just finished up. I mean, we ended up doing like hundreds of shots of like paint work. Like that's not our bread and butter. It's not that we can't do that. And we have some really great artists that we work with that's what they do. That's not our bread and butter, but we have a pipeline and we have the tools and we have the workflow to be able to adapt to that and to be able to bring in partners that are really good at it and make it completely seamless for the client. Of course, they're aware of it because there's budgetary things with it, but you know, to really be able to kind of bring them into our systems and be able to flow through. I mean, we delivered a very high volume of like paint roto heavy work over the last 6 months that, you know, again, like a company our size would typically not really be able to take on. But we did that because that is important. That is an aspect of what these shows need. And we don't want our clients to come to us and we're in deep with you. And then they're realizing like, oh crap, we have like this whole sequence of 150 shots where we have to do some simple beauty work. And now we got to go vet another vendor. We don't want to do that. Like, let us be the conduit for all of that. Even if you want to bring someone else in the fold, maybe you have a favorite, vendor in Thailand or India. Like, we'll bring them into that. We will facilitate all the IO work. We'll do all the quality control for it and make sure it flows back to you guys. That's really important for us. That we are like a conduit for.
Yeah, conduit's a good word.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, definitely. Like it's. We're Shauna, myself, and Kurt. We're really, really excited to have Mosaic, part of the Mota ecosystem. And just a quick question back to you. Obviously, we're kicking off a bit of an interesting year, 2026, with kind of where the industry's at. Like, what are you guys looking forward to? Like, what do you have your sights on and really, really looking forward to with regards to this year and beyond in the industry?
Yeah. I mean, I will be honest with you. I'm excited to see the industry starting to move again.
Yeah.
We've been really lucky to have opportunities that have allowed us to do what we've done, but like really to see things start to take off again. I think there's people are getting like reinvigorated in the industry. It seems like there's a little bit more energy and excitement about what's to come, even with AI. It's like a lot of people are scared, but there are a lot of people are excited. Like that's what I'm looking forward to this year. To be honest with you, it's not really about Mosaic or me. It's really like seeing our industry get excited about what we do again and feel like there's like hope that there's a future for what we do.
People feel a little more optimistic and there's some traction going. Like, it's really, really great. Yeah.
And that affects everybody. It's almost like the energy in the industry. If it's negative and heavy, it doesn't matter if we're busy. Still, it's looming in people's heads. It's like, oh, what's going to happen after this project? Like, we want people to like see hope in what we do and be excited again. I mean, 20 years ago, getting into this, it was like a dream to like land a job. I was like, this is amazing. And like, I feel like now it's too heavy. Like people don't feel that excitement anymore. So to see that coming back.
So much pressure on people. Yeah.
See that coming back is really exciting. And for us, it's like, you guys are a big part of that plan for us. And like, opening up new doors and new exciting opportunities for us, new relationships for us to be able to show off and like flex our muscle for these clients and also show them what agility is, because that's what we are. Like we are very agile, and we want, I think we are very unique in how agile we are and how quick we can pivot. And I don't think there's many shops that can compete with us in that regard.
And the volume that you put out at that too. Yeah, because now it's really big tentpole movies or really small movies, and the medium-sized companies are really struggling because the large companies are taking a lot of layer of work that used to be that they wouldn't even touch it. So, but that said, they're not necessarily set up to do the smaller shows, and so a lot of the clients and the studios are finding that the cost is too much, because of course their scale just costs as much as it costs. They can't necessarily pivot as quickly. They can't necessarily, track things as quickly and lightly, and the customer service isn't as good.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and that for us is our key. That's kind of like our key market, like small to mid-size projects. Again, we love getting on the bigger projects and getting our hands on, if we get a couple hundred shots on the big tentpole movie, that's great. We're very excited. Like those are like the passion projects for us, but we like all the in-between stuff too. And we really do love being on projects that allow us to touch a lot of different types of skill sets on one project. We have fun with that. We really don't approach most of our work with an ego, because it's more about the relationship. So it's like, cool. If we know that we're helping the show, whatever we need to do to facilitate that relationship building and good, good output, then we're fine with whatever that work is. But
no, it's great. I mean, Shauna and I are really, really excited to have Mosaic as part of the Mota ecosystem and bring opportunity, bring access, and work with you guys further. And it's been an incredible experience so far. I mean, obviously, personally as a friend, and then being able to work with you again here has been great.
Well, we've already been able to, bring a couple of bids your way, and the feedback, back from the studios that have experienced that process with you they've all been really, really positive. And so, everything seems to be like New Jersey, New York, and light and fast, and, generalist and all of that kind of stuff. So, I think there's a pretty bright future. So,
I think Mosaic's positioned very, very well. Yeah. So, thanks for the time. And
thank you.
And everybody tuning in, we'll obviously plug in the URL for Mosaic here. Feel free to reach out to Dave, reach out to Mota, and we'll catch you all on the next one.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thanks,
we'll get our swag.
Yeah. Swag.